let's go ahead and set up our groups. We do this in our admin panel. And the first thing you want to work out is like, what groups should I create? My recommendation is that we actually do 4 groups for your business if you're just getting started out, but you can create as many as you want. If you've got less than 10 people in your business, you probably want to just stick with what I call our simple permissions structure. I'll outline what those 4 groups are now, but the larger businesses, if you've got, 15, 20 plus, or if you're a large organization, you may want to do 1 group per department or 1 group per team. So you probably end up with, like we've got 10 groups, 1 for the marketing team, 1 for the support team, 1 for the finance team, 1 for the leadership team, and then you can have more granular controls over those. But let's demo it nice and simple. I'm going to create a shared drive here. So the first one I typically create is exec for shareholders, board members, basically anyone who's owner level in the business. Then we'd typically do one for like either management, or maybe it's for finance, or maybe it's for HR. You can see I've got an HR one here. I'm going to do one for finance. All right. And then that's going to be obviously restricted to just certain people in the business. Next one is we would normally just do like a team drive. So that's absolutely everyone in the company. And then finally, I also recommend doing one for contractors because we'll have special permissions set up for that. Okay, so our shared drives have been set up here. The next thing that most people do is they jump into the shared drive and they manage members and they start adding people willy-nilly. My recommendation is that we don't do that. We're going to use group-based permissions because when we set up a group in Workspace, you can apply that group right across the business and you can use it in many different useful places. We can use it in our calendars. We can use it in our email if you really wanted to, but we don't recommend that. You can use groups in chat to automatically give access to a chat room or a chat space. By sharing resources there. Calendar, drive, chat, email. You can set up groups to control access to the admin panel if you really wanted to. Lots of different options there. Okay, let's go ahead and set up our groups. So our groups are set up in the admin panel. If you want someone in your business to manage groups that's not you, we would recommend that you set them up as an administrator for your Google Workspace account. But you don't give them the super administrator permission. You just give them the group's administrator permission. That's actually pretty straightforward. If you jump into users, I'll pick a random user here. Isa, she's always top of the list. And then it's called under admin roles and privileges. Isa happens to be a super admin of our test account. But what you would do is you would go to groups admin and you would add someone as a groups admin. And of course, this is the kind of thing you just message our team and say, hey, set this person up as groups admin. What that means is that that person can go to admin.google.com and help manage setting up users or adding users to groups, sorry. If you want to have someone manage setting up users, there's a different permission for that. There we go, right there, user management admin. If you want them to be able to add and delete users, you could switch that one on as well. But this is really useful if you want someone in your business to be able to make like small edits like that. If they're literally in the same room as you, might be faster for them to do it. Once we release our bot, it will be faster for our bot to do it. But in the meantime, if you want to delegate these options, you can delegate these options. You definitely wouldn't switch on super admin for someone unless they were director level or shareholder level of your business. And even so, be careful with that because about once or twice a quarter, we get a customer who says, hey, my business partner just locked me out of my account, or my spouse locked me out of my account for those in business with their partner, which is always interesting. Be very, very careful who you give super admin. Best practice is to not give that to anyone. And best practice is to have a dedicated super admin account that you only log into when you need to change settings. Okay, so we're going to go into our group service. Let's go ahead and jump in, and we are going to create a group. So I'm going to create a group here. I'm going to have to put test in front of it because I think we're running out of email addresses. Let me see if this one works actually. All right, so I'm going to add exec@testgenius.co. I'm going to call the group exec. You don't have to put a description or anything if you don't want to. I tend to switch on the security setting here. Doesn't really change that much, to be honest, but it will be helpful in the future if you do switch that on. Cool. Now, locked option, beta. Okay, you don't need to worry about that. So you set up the group name, email, and tick the button here. Now, you can specify group owner. It doesn't really matter all that much, but it doesn't hurt to put yourself there if you want to. But the owner role, you're not really going to be using much for this implementation. Okay, so access type. who should be able to access this group or access the information in this group. Now, here's where it gets a little bit funky, because groups technically allow you to get access to the group's service. So if you go to groups.google.com, technically, what you're doing is you're giving access to this group's service. And inside the group's service, if you want to allow people to email these email accounts, so inside here, if someone sends an email to the group email address, it's all going to appear here it's like a forum style list of all of the emails. And you may know this as collaborative inbox. That's another label for it in the Google world. But effectively, you can use this like a group mailbox. It's like a free group mailbox that you can send and receive from in your Google account. I've got a million videos on the channel if you want to cover more about that. And I'm happy to demo more of this when we get to the Q&A section. So some of these settings in the admin panel are referring to things you can do in this group service. Now, we don't need any of those for our Google Drive implementation, but that's what the group's settings are referring to, is this group's service here, where you can have different emails coming in and you can reply to them and use it like a shared mailbox between multiple people. Okay, so for the most part, if we're just using these for security, then the most appropriate thing to do is to switch this to restricted, right? Which is going to lock it down. What I do like to do though, is I like to actually modify these, because ideally you want everyone to be able to view who is in the group, but not necessarily change things in the group. So I usually go back and I kind of tick this box. And so in that sense, I just find it easier to use the team setting these days, because that's going to allow you to view members. Now, where is that important? Well, if you want to use this with a calendar entry, if I go and set up a calendar event here, and I want to add a group to the calendar event, which is really, really useful, right? So we've already got one test group that the team have set up. If you see here, once I've added a group to a calendar event, I can click this little icon here and I can expand the group and I can see who's in the group, which is really useful if I want to invite a team or a number of people to a group, to a calendar event. I can see who's actually included in there. And if, oh, this other person I want to have in the meeting is not in the group, let me go ahead and add them, right? So I can add someone manually to the meeting. So it's really useful to be able to do that. If you can't see who's in the group, if you can't view the members of the group, then other people can't do that. If you're the owner, you can always see it because you're the super admin, but other people can't see it. So that's why we choose to allow people to see who's in the group. That's just an important setting to switch on. It's good for you to know what that setting actually pertains to. Now, next one, who can join the group? Well, that's probably going to be restricted to only people who are invited. Or maybe you say, okay, anyone in the organization can ask to join, but it's a little bit tighter to just leave it, just so there's nothing accidental, leave it only invited users. This is a security group, you probably want to lock that down as much as possible. Now, allow members outside your organization, we're going to leave this off. Thankfully, you can toggle this on and off after you've created the group if you need to, but we're going to leave this one off. All right, we're going to hit next. Are there any restrictions to membership? That's like an advanced kind of enterprise-y type feature. If you've got a large team, you might want to set some conditions to stop certain people from being able to access it, but we don't need that. And then once we've created the group, we can start adding people to the group, right? So I doubt we have a test account for Scott, but here's the person I would add. All right, well, let's go ahead and add Chris. You've been promoted to board member. All right, so we've got Chris in there. And the weird thing with groups is it takes a second for people to show up here. So you've got to give it 10 seconds for anything to happen. Now, because I'm the owner, I should also be there. There we go. I'm in indirect members, which is a bit weird, but anyway, that is what it is. Chris will appear here in a second, but I'll go ahead and add my other groups. Okay, so that's the group setup process. I'm going to create the others, show you what it looks like. So we're going to do finance, I can choose a domain name. If you have multiple add-on domains, you can choose domain names, and you can also set up aliases for groups as well. So if you've got a different name for the group that you want to have work as well, you can set up a different name. If you want the group to work across multiple domain names or multiple brands, you can choose an alias and choose the different one. Just like you would with a user alias, you can have multiple domains under that alias. All right, so group owner, I'll go ahead and put myself in there as well, add the security button, and then I'll switch that to a team group, lock it down to only invited users, and then click through there And then let's add our finance team. Jericho is going to be on my finance team. We have multiple Jerichos. Jericho 2, Jericho 3. All right, cool. And then let's go back to groups and add another. Great. All right. So for your team group, we're not going to do the security label. Well, I may as well switch this one to open. Anyone in the organization can join. That makes sense for that. We definitely don't want to allow people outside our organization. So this is restricting membership. That's not the one we want, but let's go to adding users. Okay, so add members. And then when you go to add your members, this is all you need to do. Now, this is great because this is the best feature. What this means is every time someone joins your company and you set up a user account for them, boom, they automatically get access to the all team account, and multiple very clever things happen. When the team account is added to a Google Drive, to a shared drive, they will automatically see the shared drive show up in their shared drives, which is brilliant. But the extra magic, sexy thing that happens is any calendar events that you have, hopefully this will work. Here we go. Oh, it's already showed up. Any calendar events that you have, and this might take a moment to populate with everyone, I guess, that is going to retroactively invite that new person to any standing repeating meetings that you have. I'm going to say it again because it's a bit of a mouthful. If you have repeating recurring meetings that are set up in calendar and you have invited the group or the team, get rid of the exec group. If you've invited the whole team, I'll refresh because that might need a refresh before it works. They're gonna open their mailbox on the first day, and they're gonna see invite to the monthly all hands, invite to the daily huddle, invite to the weekly, retrospective meeting on a Friday at the end of the week. All those invitations are just going to come through. And so for the person that's just joined your company, they automatically get invited to everything that they need to be invited to without you having to remember, which is brilliant. It is such a cool feature. Okay, cool. So test, we're going to go more options, and let's add this all team. Here we go. Okay, so it hasn't yet pulled everyone in. Don't know why, but let's leave that one there. Okay, cool. So we'll go back to our groups, setup, and I'm hoping at some point, here we go. All users in the organization are a member. So that has done the correct thing. Maybe it'll just take some time before everyone gets pulled in, but that should pull in a number of people there. Maybe it's just taking time because we've got a big org. There we go, 73 guests. Okay, cool. So let's open this one up. So all team has been added as a invitee to the meeting, and we would of course repeat this, right? Weekly on a Thursday or whatever. And then I can expand that, and then I can expand here, and everyone in the company has been invited to that meeting automatically. So freaking cool. So useful. Same thing in chat. If you've got a chat room for the whole company, you would invite this team account and everyone gets access to that. Okay, so we have our groups, and by now, let's go to our exec group and just check that we have people drop in. They do take a minute to show up. I don't know why. It's just a weird Google thing. There we go. So Chris is in our group there. And then I think, was it Jericho and Finance? There we go. We've got Jericho and Finance. Let's create a group for our contractors. Nesty is going to be our contractor. TestGenius.co. I'm going to tick the security label and owner. Cool. Now, this one obviously only invited users, but I'm going to click allow members outside my organization. Yes, that's the thing that we're going to do there. Let's go next. No restrictions. I'm going to add a member. Now, I can add anyone with a Google account, either a Gmail account or a Google Workspace account, and they can be outside my domain. So I'm on my test account, but I can add Peter at itgenius.com to this. I can add someone internal if I want. So we've got Nestor at our test account. I can add Nestor at itgenius.com, add his production account. I can add I got another account, petermoriarty.co. That's my personal account. Also a Google Workspace account. I can add a Gmail. That will work too. It may or may not bring up the pictures, but you can add any account there. Now, a long time ago, there was a trick to access some Google resources if you wanted to share with someone who is outside your business, but they didn't have a Google account. And they could go and register for YouTube with their email account, and that would get them access to it. That trick doesn't work here. It's got to be a Gmail account or a Google Workspace account. It's got to be one of those two, because they have to be able to access like the Google Drive service and stuff like that for this to work. So add to group. All right, we've got a contractors group. Again, it's going to take a second for everyone to appear. Now, you can use this contractors group anywhere that you can use the other groups. So if you wanted to set it up in chat, you can absolutely set it up in chat. If you wanted to invite contractors to an event, you can invite all of your contractors to an event. So if I invite the contractors, it still hasn't updated the group, but once the users are there, it will add the contractors in there. Again, same thing works. If you have a recurring event and you invite a new contractor to the group, they're going to get added to the event automatically. If you need more help with what we've covered in this video, itGenius provides support services to businesses all over the world with problems just like this. Click the link below to get started.